When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
Running a business means I wear lots of hats. Luckily, when it's time to put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn to make it easy. I can post a job for free or pay to promote it and get 3 times more qualified candidates. Imagine finding your next great hire in 24 hours. 86% of small businesses do. With LinkedIn, I can also easily share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Gary Birtles, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Every time I hear that intro, guys, and Gary Birtles at the start, it always makes me chuckle hearing that little Ellie chuckle at the start. But anyway, welcome to the Tricky Talks podcast. On the back of Forest beating Wolves 1-0 at Molineux, we're here to review and recap all of that. Plus, look forward to our first trip to the Hill Dickinson Stadium this weekend. And talking of old gits, Mollo, you're here as always.
Good evening. And how do you know that wasn't me giggling at the start?
It was a little bit too feminine for you, I think, Mollo, wasn't it? Kate's here as well. How are you, Kate? I gather you've got a ticket for Everton at last.
Yes, I'm in a great mood because I finally got an Everton ticket in my basket. And yeah, so I will be attending the new stadium on Saturday. And I really didn't think I was going to be, so I'm super happy.
Excellent. And finally, Chelsea's here as well. How are you?
Yes, not too bad, thanks. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this pod.
Yeah, plenty to chat about. Let's start with a couple of bits of news. Firstly, Morgan Gibbs-White has been nominated for Premier League Player of the Month for December, and we've been championing Morgan Gibbs-White throughout the season, actually, even when he was showing a bit of lack of form, and he's getting his rewards now. It seems as though he's turned the corner after being omitted from the England squad, Mollo. I think he's certainly knuckled down and he's got, 3 goals throughout November, and he's playing well at the minute, isn't he? And certainly very rewarding to see him nominated for that Player of the Month.
Absolutely. And I think it's a coincidence in some ways about the whole England thing, because he's been working his socks off all season like he always does. And like we've said numerous times, when he wasn't on top form, he's the sort of player that plays his way into form. And now we're seeing that. And even last night, he may not have been spectacular, but he had a really good, solid game. The sort of game he probably wanted to have when he just before he hit his top form, in a sense. Like a nice, steady, do the simple stuff, knit things together. I'm really, really pleased for him. He deserves it.
Yeah, Kate, do you think it's coincided with the change in manager, or just the fact that, like Mollo said, he's been knuckling down, working hard anyway, and this is his reward?
I think a combination of those things. I think the change in manager has lifted the entire squad and put us in a much, much better position than we were, which is fantastic. I also think that Morgan often has a slow start to the season. This isn't new for him, so he is coming into his time to impress and show some form. Slightly concerned, I'm hearing lots of talk about his back at the moment, giving him a little bit of trouble. So hopefully the team at Forest are managing that so that we can keep him playing and keep him playing well.
Yeah, we'll come on to an injury update in a moment on the squad in general, but Chelsea, how do And we'll talk about the Wolves game in a lot more detail, but it's nice to see Gibbs White pretty much back to his best, and no better place than Molineux to showcase those skills of his.
Yeah, definitely. We all know how Gibbs White can play, and I think with everything that happened with Nuno and then obviously Ange coming in, he obviously wasn't looked after, as they say, and I don't think it's a coincidence that now Dyche has come in, he is performing better, and hopefully not only can he get Player of the Month, but you never know, he might be able to worm his way back into the England squad if he keeps performing the way that he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Long may that continue. I mentioned about injuries. Just to recap today's press conference news from Sean Dyche, he did give an update on a number of players in terms of where they currently stand injury-wise. The most worrying one for me was the update on Chris Wood, who, to quote Sean Dyche, is making a bit of progress, but it's still early days. I mean, how long has he been out for now? What, it's been a good month or more, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I can't remember the exact date he last played for New Zealand, but a little bit worrying, isn't it, guys, to hear that it's very early days? What do you think that really means? He's not close by the sounds of it, surely.
No, and they did push him on that, didn't they? They did push him on timescales, and he wasn't giving anything away. I mean, it suggests to me we're certainly not going to see him this side of Christmas.
Yeah, conspiracy theorists are kind of out in force at the moment as well, aren't they? Saying, is it an injury?
Yes, it's that thing of how long is a piece of string, isn't it? And, once you hear that they're back on the training pitch, you know that there is an end in sight and that they're going to be back on the pitch. But with something like that, like Kate said, we're not going to be seeing him this side of Christmas, no way.
On the better news, Douglas Luiz is close to getting back to training, so that's positive. Zinchenko is on the grass and doing fine. Backward played 60 minutes for the B team and came through unscathed, so he's continuing to build up his fitness. And Molo's laughing, and I'm not sure why.
He might get banned for more than just a couple of months if he's on the grass.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Just before we go to Rotterdam, Simon, as well. Not Rotterdam, yeah. Amsterdam, Simon, as well. Shocking.
Yeah, true. Angus Gunn is a bit delayed in his rehab, but he's getting better. Aina's still obviously a lot of time away yet. And on Gibbs White, actually, Sean Dyche said today, I think he's okay. There are a few knocks at the minute because we are playing a lot of games. I don't think it's anything serious, or it's certainly not been reported as serious. So hopefully he'll be around for Everton as well.
I don't like the word think. It's too uncertain for me. I think he's okay. I don't think that... No.
It's a bit ambiguous, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I mean, we all thought Murillo was going to be in the squad yesterday, didn't we?
Exactly.
And he wasn't.
Yeah.
Once I heard it was this flu that was going round, or a virus, as they said, I said he'll do well to be getting out of bed for this one after... if he'd only been ill since Saturday, Sunday time. Yeah. It's knocking people out for a good week, isn't it? That, albeit he's a fit young athlete, so I guess he recovers quicker than his old folk.
Yeah, it should be compulsory to get the flu jab, surely, if you're a professional athlete, not to miss any time.
Anyway, Molo, speak for yourself, old folk.
Sorry.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, on to Wolves then. Let's get cracking on that. So, obviously a 1-0 victory, a deserved victory. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Now, the thing for me was it was quite apparent early on, and we'll get to the game in a moment, but it was apparent early on that Forest were by far the superior team. The first 10-15 minutes dictated the pace of the game. But actually, Kate, you missed the start of the game, didn't you? Because there was a bit of a delay in getting into the stadium, I believe.
Yeah, there was. So obviously the game had been pushed back to 7:30. We're assuming for broadcasting reasons. And the traffic was hideous right from setting off to getting there. It took us an hour and a half longer than when I'd put it through the sat-nav the night before. And I was slightly frustrated that I was on my own there and I'd just been sort of taken a different route. But when we arrived at the ground, there were hundreds of away fans outside the ground. And it was quite frustrating because we weren't moving. So we sort of got there and thought, oh, clearly everybody's had a bad journey. There was about just over 5 minutes before the game was due to start. So you kind of shuffle in and you get into your queue and you think, okay, we're going to start moving. And then we just didn't. We didn't move. And there were more and more people joining the queue behind us. And initially, people were still in that kind of state of having rushed to get there, to try and get there for kickoff. So everybody was kind of like milling about a little bit. And then when we were just standing still, people started to sort of go, you know, what's going on? Why aren't we moving? When are they going to let us in? And people were starting to get a little bit stressed, a little bit cross at the lack of action in terms of getting us into the ground. And then we heard the game start from the outside, and it was like, okay, now we really are missing it, and we're still not going anywhere. And there were quite a lot of stewards and people sort of milling about, sort of looking at each other as if they weren't quite sure what they needed to be doing, which was a bit frustrating, because it's like, well, you need to be scanning tickets and letting people through the turnstiles, and I don't really understand why you're not. So I wondered if there was something that happened inside the ground that we weren't aware of, but there wasn't. So I don't really know quite what happened or what the delay was, but there were a lot of people that were getting quite annoyed at not being let in. And we did get in. I think it was probably getting on for 15 minutes in by the time we actually got to our seats, which, you know, I suppose could be worse, but it just felt like, is this not what you do as stewards and people that work turnstiles? Do you not just kind of let people in? And I get that there were a lot of people all at once. I get that because of the traffic, but I just didn't understand why there was that sort of 10-minute period of nobody moving. So yes, a little bit frustrating, but then same could be said about watching lots of parts of the game, but the right result.
We were brilliant in the first 15 minutes.
Were we? Yeah, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, like I said, it became apparent early on that Forest were the dominant team. You didn't miss too much in the way of action, I have to say. But Mollo, you were there from the start. That was probably a fair reflection of the whole game in general, wasn't it? In terms of Forest were clearly the better team, clearly dominant, but they huffed and they puffed throughout the 90 minutes, and obviously they got their reward near the end. It just seemed there was some. They lacked the killer instinct, didn't they, in that final third? I thought whilst their possession was great, they were knocking it around okay, there wasn't a huge amount to get excited about once they got to that final third.
I think I wrote down three main factors that all came together and made it a much closer game than many would have liked it to have been, and that's not being disrespectful to Wolves because they gave what they had. One was half the team don't seem to know how to pick the right studs and were slipping over all over the place in the first 15-20 minutes. Secondly, why couldn't anyone, including them, thank goodness, head a ball in front of goal until Jesus stepped up? It was really weird how that happened. But thirdly, and this is really common, sometimes we step up to teams' level and I feel like it sounds very disrespectful, but the facts speak for themselves on the league table. We dropped down to their level. As bad as they were, and they were really bad in the first half, even their manager after 3 games has destroyed them, hasn't he, with his interview. We dropped down close to their level, and like you say, it was almost too comfortable, but we couldn't get that finishing touch. And they did have, I've no clue who most of their players are, but they did have an awful lot of very big, athletic players that were reasonably quick and very, very physical in the second half whenever Anderson got the ball, basically. So it was tough in other ways, but we got the job done, didn't we? And I guess that's what we have to say, because people say, we're going to win 3 or 4-0. I said, again, being smart after the event, but I did say in the last pod, they played okay against Villa, so we need to be very careful. He's a banana skin. And if that guy takes his chance in the second half, which I'm sure we'll get to, then it's even more difficult. But ultimately, if you'd offer me a scrappy 1-0 win before the game, and I hope you'll see lots more of those as the season wears on in a funny kind of way, I'd have taken it today, because it's just about points on the board, isn't it? And the result was everything.
Yeah, 3 points was the main thing, wasn't it, Chelsea, in terms of getting out of Wolves without them getting their first win of the season. So what were your thoughts overall? It was a bit scrappy, wasn't it? But the outcome was right in the end.
Yeah, I always there's 2 things that I always look at. I look at the result and then I look at the performance. And to me, they were both different in my eyes. The result, obviously, absolutely brilliant. 3 points on the board for us. And obviously, I always think taking, 2 or 3 points away from Wolves, that's our objective is also. And then you look at the performance overall, I just felt like it was just very disjointed. There was a lot of breaking up from play from Wolves' side anyway. There was a lot of fouls. I mean, how long it took for them to get a yellow card, I've got no idea. And one thing that frustrates me the most about Forest is, now again, I'm going to say, Wolves are, I hate using the word, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like a lesser team, as in performance-wise, than us. Why do we sit back, waiting for them to attack, which builds up their confidence, and then we end up having to defend more? I'll have no idea why Forest do it. And that was just hugely frustrating for me. But again, ultimately, 3 points on the board, and then we go on to the next game.
I do want to talk about the VAR decision, though, because that was probably one of only a couple of talking points in that first half. The other one being the misheader, which you alluded to, Mollo, earlier from Ndoye, where he should have done a lot better. But I want to talk about his role in the VAR as well, because I put in our chat that it was offside. I don't think there was any doubt about that. There was no argument. He was clearly in an offside position, but two things I want to talk about. Why did it take so long to come to that conclusion? Obviously, Chelsea and I had the benefit of the TV commentary to help understand why. You guys probably were wondering what on earth was going on, but from our perspective, and Chelsea chip in as if you want, but he was clearly in an offside position right in front of the keeper. But my argument is I thought he was lazy and just really didn't think about where he was positionally on the field at all. Had he been more aware of his surroundings, he would have realised he was offside by quite a way. It wasn't even marginal. And he was in front of the goalie as well, which is the most significant thing. So that's the kind of point I was trying to make, Chelsea. I don't know whether you want to add to that, but from the replays, he was clearly, I thought, a little bit lazy in terms of his positional sense.
Yeah, like you hit the nail on the head, it was lazy of him. I don't think it's singling out players, but I think we can all agree that Ndoye did not have a good game at all. How you are so unaware that you have positioned yourself in an offside right in front of the keeper, it's, to me, I don't know where his head was at that moment, because it just seems it's just common sense not to put yourself there. Just put yourself anywhere else other than there. And like you said, Simon, we could see it on the TV. I have no idea why it took 5 minutes?
7.
Was it 7 minutes? Right, okay, well, longer than what I thought. Now, to me, if you have a brain, eyes, or are over the age of 2, anyone can see that was... I didn't even celebrate because I knew he was offside. You could see it.
I've been outside the stadium and I could have seen that was offside.
Yeah.
Like, that's how offside it was.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then we'll go to the VAR room. Oh, they can't decide. So then we'll put it to the referee, and I'm like, how? And then when you start to doubt your own self, thinking, okay, is there something that they've seen that I haven't? No idea.
Yeah. I thought they were also looking at Morato being brought down in the penalty area as the cross came in. I was talking to Danny, I said it was so obviously offside, they can't have taken all of that time just to clear that.
I hope not.
I thought they were looking at something else, and in the first replay we got to see Morato was pulled down by the defender, and I thought they were looking at that. As it transpired, they didn't even mention that at all.
No.
It was just so bizarre. But no, you guys in the stadium must have been wondering what on earth was going on with the fact that it took so long. But did you know it was offside even before the replay came up? Was it clear and obvious to you sitting in the stadium?
Well, with it being Wolves, it completely depends which end of the stadium you were sat, I suppose, doesn't it? I can see you're nodding, Kate. I'm guessing you must have been down that end.
Yeah.
We were slightly close to the middle. My concern was, and it probably alludes to the Morato thing, Morato was holding on to 2 of their players, almost pulling them together as the corner came in. I thought it might be that initially, because they didn't tell us what it was. And obviously he's then ended up on the floor, so I guess there's been that's why they haven't considered it. But I'm going to flip it on its head, because this is a hot topic at the moment. It seems to be happening every week, doesn't it? I think, because you only have to look at any corner we take, that is his job. Not necessarily to be in front of the goalkeeper, but to be, like Arsenal do, harassing the goalkeeper and stuff. Mm-hmm. His job is to be there or thereabouts. I'm convinced of it, because he's not had his best game, and he's not having a couple of good games on the trot. But he's definitely not that daft. He's too intelligent at football. He knows that his job is to be there now. He's not looking directly at the keeper, is he? So the keeper's footwork. The frustrating thing is, he's probably the worst first-team keeper in the Premier League right now, and he wouldn't have saved it because it was about 4 yards out, and we all completely get that. But I genuinely think his job is to stand in the middle of the goal at corners, because he's got a different job. Have you noticed he's always, when we're defending corners, he's the blocker, isn't it? And it terrifies me because he's not big enough and strong enough to be the blocker. But obviously they want the guys who head it well in the middle. But anyway, I think he's following instructions, and those instructions don't include be very careful that if you're stood offside and it's really obvious, you get out the way or whatever. I think it's just your job, harass the keeper, be in and around the penalty box, and if we score and you're offside, hopefully you won't be interfering, as he wasn't the other week and we got away with one. At least I hope it's that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying around his role, because he did exactly the same at Liverpool, didn't he, when Murillo scored, where he was positioned in front of the keeper, albeit slightly to one side, and the keeper had a clear view of Murillo's shot. But this one, it wasn't even close. I just thought he could have been a bit more positionally aware of where he was on the field, not to take anything away from his role that he had at the time. But
that's absolutely see what you're saying there. But it's not like, and we talk about some professional footballers look along the line from the touchline and get caught offside. In the middle of the goal, he's going to struggle. Did they have a man on the post? Obviously not, but he's not to know that if he's looking the other post, is he? Do you know what I mean? Because often now they come out off the post, don't they? To forget these dodgy offsides. And so I'm not saying he wasn't offside. Clearly he was. I think unless that isn't his job, I think he's probably just following instructions, as it were. And if it hits him and goes in, it's not going to count. But if somebody's on the post, he's done his job, hasn't he? But yeah, it's a tricky one because it's a split-second thing, isn't it, I suppose?
As a contractor, I don't pay for materials I don't use. So why would I pay for stuff I don't need in my mobile plan? That's why my Biz plan from Verizon Business is so perfect. Now I can choose exactly what I want, and I only pay for what I need.
Right now, with my Biz plan, get our best price, as low as $25 a line. Visit Verizon.com/business to get started today. New lines only. Price per month with 5+ lines. Includes autopay and paper-free billing and promotional discount. Taxes, fees, economic adjustment charge. Applicable add-ons, prices, and terms apply. Guarantee applies to base monthly rate and stated discounts only. Add-on prices additional. Offers in January 5th, 2026.
The Who's down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay. Your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
Yeah. Am I defending Ndoye? Wow. Not that I don't dislike him.
Yes, you are.
Sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, it was Igor Jesus who headed that one in. Unfortunately, he didn't get the credit for a goal, but he did score in the second half. And we all know that one of Jesus' strong points is heading. We knew that when we signed him. I think that was certainly his one and only goal for Brazil is a header as well, I believe. So he knew he was good in the air. He's not quite Chris Wood height-wise, but in terms of his heading ability, it seems to be second to none. And it was an even better header, I think, from Hutchinson's cross for the goal, wasn't it, Kate?
It was, and what a cross that was. That was what we needed. We needed a moment of quality, and he did have several moments of quality, and I know we'll come on to talk about him, but that was exactly what it was. It was a moment of quality. It was a great header. And in the same way that we knew that the first one was offside, we knew that one wasn't. That was a great, great goal. So we were jumping about and celebrating and just feeling really, because it did feel once that had gone in that we were good. We were good.
It's funny, we were talking on the previous pod around how Chris Wood would really benefit from having Amari Hutchinson pinging in those crosses. So it's kind of ironic that it was Jesus who benefited from the exact kind of thing we were missing perhaps against Brighton, if you think about it, Chelsea. So what did you think of Hutchinson overall in terms of his performance? I thought he certainly did his job really well. I know it was his first start. I think he's certainly done enough to warrant a second start at Everton this weekend. I don't see any reason why you would look to take him out at this stage.
No, definitely. I remember saying in the previous pod, I really feel like I always said that he was more of an impact player, but I completely changed my mind, and I was hoping that Dyche saw that as well, and obviously he did. He definitely deserved to start. The thing is, with Hutchinson, for a little bloke, he does get stuck in, doesn't he? And I just think with him being down that side, I think he unnerves defenders, and he's difficult to mark, and his crosses are fantastic, and thank God Jesus was actually on the end of one of his fantastic crosses. About time someone did. And then he just, even if he can't cross it in, he just will drive it into the box. And that's what I like. He's direct. You know he's going to do something with it, and something's going to happen as a result of him doing that. And yeah, I know. See me talking about Hutchinson again.
Unless it's Ndoye that's on the end of one of his amazing crosses, and then it's going to happen.
Didn't Jesus miss one in the first half as well? Because there was two.
Yes,
he did.
That was balling from Morgan, and he missed it.
Yeah. That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but Hutchinson said in his post-match interview on Sky Sports that he found it really difficult playing against the back five, because not only did he have the fullback to take on and beat, he had a centre-half that was covering as well. But I thought he coped with it really well. And if you think about what they can look forward to at Everton, and we'll come on to that shortly, they're not going to be playing with a back five, so home. So you'd like to think that in subsequent games coming up, he's going to have more room on the pitch than perhaps he did at Wolves.
Hopefully. I think you have to say he's one of those players, not to bring down the expectation level too much, but he's very easy on the eye, isn't he, in the way he plays with the quick feet, the little turns inside, all that type of thing. Kind of the polar opposite of somebody like Yatesy, who's slightly less easy on the eye because he hasn't got all the quick feet and whatnot. I actually thought his crossing in the first half was mostly pretty poor. And I looked up the stats of how many. I know you're not going to meet your man every time, but so many didn't get more than 3 foot off the floor. Which is be perfect for somebody like me maybe, but not for him. But he had the key moment, didn't he? So you can't knock him, and it's for first start. We were saying in the last 20 minutes he must be knackered, and then he pulled that out, didn't he? So there's more to come, is what I'm trying to say, not being negative about it, because his crossing overall was a bit hit and miss. Very Franz Carr-esque in his you know what I mean?
I was just going to say, very, very reminiscent of the way Franz Carr used to play, because he had quick feet and he was quick generally, and he was known for putting in poor crosses as well, wasn't he? And in the end, he got replaced by Gary Crosby, I think. Yeah. But very reminiscent of Franz Carr.
The difference is in modern football, people forget everything if you get a goal or an assist, don't they?
Yeah,
and that's the crux of it. And he did. He got put in a really reasonable cross where a goalkeeper fluffed his punch out. Let's not forget a proper goalkeeper would have. Let's not forget. That's the wrong thing to say. As it came over, somebody next to me said, keeper's ball. And then I don't know whether he punched in air when I watched it back. I can't remember now. It was so late last night. And Jesus was brave. Took one on the side of the head, didn't he? But got the header in. I was like, brilliant. So it was in a way reminiscent of the whole game, wasn't it? A scrappy kind of, not a scrappy finish, because it was a lovely finish, but the way he put that cross in, a hit and hope cross again, and fair play, Jesus did it. Goalkeeper messed it up. That's why I say Neville would have saved the first header anyway, because he's a terrible keeper at that level, isn't he? So it was, very easy on the line. He deserves his next start. I'm not saying that, but he's got that assist now, hasn't he? So
yeah, don't forget that it was Hutchinson that put the cross in for the goal that was disallowed as well. So if you'd have taken all of those poor crosses that you've mentioned, Mollo, and taken those two crosses in isolation, which in effect led to 2 goals, it's not his fault one was disallowed. You'd have taken that before the game and you'd have said, winger, put the crosses in, 2 assists, job done.
100%. I think he's striving for... he's got such talent. If he can improve that delivery, and it was the same with last year with Elanga, wasn't it? He got them in there. But you're absolutely right. And it's the sign of a Dyche team as well, isn't it? The number of crosses going into the box. It's kind of almost a statistical thing, isn't it? If you put in 20 crosses, at least one or two are going to be good enough for someone to hopefully finish, and that's won us the game. So I sound like I didn't mean to sound so negative the way I said it. It was just I was reading the stats as I was saying it, so it's surprising.
Almost like for the first half, he was overdoing it. That's kind of how I saw it. He'd got his start, he was raring to go, he was kind of overdoing things, and then he sort of settled into it a little bit more in the second half. I felt there was still some good stuff in the first half, but that's kind of how it came across to me. But still, absolutely.
He doesn't lose the ball to his fullback very often, does he? That's kind of the reason why he's also very easy on the eye, as like the old Franz Carr days. He will beat or get inside his fullback or outside the fullback regularly, and that's exciting to watch, isn't it? That's what we want to see. Whether the cross is perfect or not doesn't really matter. It's more about keep getting those crosses in, because eventually someone will get on the end of one, won't they? So that's what I'm trying to say, and it didn't come out quite that the first time, did it?
I forgive you, Mono.
Another thing I noticed was, yet again in the second half, he was found in acres of space on that right-hand side, and it was a diagonal crossfield ball again that found him. They seem to have found a bit of a weapon there in terms of utilising the skills that Amari Hutchinson offers, and this time, instead of putting in a cross, he went for goal, to give him credit, and he didn't quite have the right angle to score with his right foot, but it was a decent enough effort and got a corner out of it. A little bit surprising that Gibbs-White stamped his feet a little bit at the outcome of that, because, again, looking at the replays, it didn't really seem feasible for him to be in a good position to pull it back. So I thought he made the right choice at that time and went for goal. So you've got to give him credit for that as well, I think, haven't you, Chelsea?
Yeah. I would just like to say as well that I've had many of Ipswich Town fans come up to me over the past couple of weeks, and they've gone, because they're all a bit bitter about Amari Hutchinson just because he left a bit unprofessionally, let's just say, so they're all quite bitter, but they've all kind of come up to me, just muttered under their breath and said, he's doing well for you, isn't he? That's all they've said, and they've just left it. So I take that as a very huge positive.
That leads us towards the end of the game, where it was obviously they got the late goal, which they deserved, as we said earlier, and didn't quite get the usual backs to the wall job feeling that you get when Forest scored a late goal. And an interesting stat Sky Sports put up was that in terms of conceding goals in the last 15 minutes in the Premier League this season, Forest are the second worst with 9 behind Burnley's 10. So it was a little bit kind of, oh dear, are we going to see a repeat? But I didn't get, apart from that one chance they had where the guy should have done better with his header, I didn't feel really threatened, to be honest, in that last 15 minutes. Did either of you? Was it nervy in the stadium where you were?
They brought on a huge lump, really, wasn't he? But I've got one word for how that last 10 or 15 minutes went, and I mean this in a positive way. Morato. He answered his critics, didn't he? I know he had a bit of a fumble in the middle of the game, like he always will when he tries to play football instead of just defending. But he was imperious in those last 10 minutes of the whole game. I mean, heading it, putting a couple of good blocks, lovely little tackle. I'm so pleased he's come back from Sunday in that way. But he's just got to stop trying to play too much football. Sometimes he's just got to lump it.
Yeah.
What was the reaction when the full-time whistle went then? Because Dyche made a comment today in his presser about thanking the Forest fans and going over and clapping them. Was it more relief, I think, Kate, in terms of the final score, or were they really pleased and over the moon that they beat a rival at the bottom of the table?
Bit of both. I think we would have liked to have seen a little more possession in those last 10 minutes. It did, but at the same time, I said in the last podcast, we can't rely on them just being worse. And yet, I think by the time we got to we kind of did do that for most of the game, but certainly for that last sort of 10, 15 minutes, you kind of thought they've really not got this, have they? And it would have been a proper slice of luck, I think, if something had come off for them, certainly rather than skill or anything that they'd built. So you were fairly comfortable. You were looking for the clock to run down and getting ready to cheer it at the end, and that is what happened. And there was a big cheer at the end, and it was really nice actually to see Dyche come over and clap the fans. I think that was very much appreciated, and we were talking a little bit about the atmosphere last week. I think that helped. I think that little bit more of that will certainly help the atmosphere. So I'm hoping that he does that, not just away, but also at home. And I know he does come over, but it felt a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more, okay, here we go. There was just something about it that just felt a little bit more in doing that. So yes, thank you for that, Dyche. And he said something that, and I've written it down, let me find my notes, finding different ways to win, he said in his post-match, didn't he? And I actually, I know.
I'm just thinking of the opposite of that under Ange.
Yeah.
Finding different ways to lose.
I certainly did that.
And do you know what? I thought, okay, that's fair. And, I guess it would have been lovely to go there and absolutely smash them. But finding different ways to win. The important thing is the win. And it was good.
How was the atmosphere overall at the ground? Because I don't know about you, Simon. I couldn't quite hear the Forest fans. I don't know.
In defence, it's the worst away end in the Premier League for getting an atmosphere, because it's the full length of the pitch,
right?
But it's only, I think, 12 seats deep. So there'll be, is it 12 or 14? And it's like, you'll hear a song start one end and it ripples down and then it ripples down. And last year was, I think, in context, one of our best performances of the season, when we went there and won 3-0 and played pretty well, albeit that so did Matt Sells. And the atmosphere that day, it was exactly like that. There'd be like different parts of it. The atmosphere underneath in the concourse was amazing. It's just that sort of a place, and it's quite smart really, because it stops the away fans dominating too much. But everyone was singing. It was just at different times.
I certainly got the sense that was happening when you heard Mull of Kintyre and then it kind of faded, but then another section were carrying on and you could certainly tell.
The only time the whole ground sang together was Wolves and Forest fans. I won't do the sweary version, but the other version that happened was, it's not football anymore. During VAR. That was funny.
I thought with it being down the side of the pitch, you don't get that at too many Premier League grounds now, do you? I know you had it at Everton, albeit that was their old stadium. You had it at Ipswich last year as well. Was a good away side, I should say, rather than end. But there aren't too many Premier League grounds nowadays that have away fans down the side,
especially not the full width. I think it's got to be the only one that's the full width. Bournemouth's like that, but hopefully there's only about 30 of you because it's such a tin pot club and ground. But can you think of others, Kate? Because West Ham's behind the goal, about 3 miles away.
It definitely felt different, like being in the ice cube trays somehow. And it was cold. The other time, though, I thought, first of all, Mollo, I thought I heard that full version of Mull, and I thought, hang on a minute.
Mull, it's City Ground.
You know what I mean. And I thought, hang on a minute, Mollo must be sitting over there, because I can hear that. I know where he is now. So that made me smile. And then I do think we were all singing He Walks on the Trent. I do think we were all singing that.
But again, that rippled down, didn't it? I heard it before I sang it, and then heard it being sang after he sang it. It was like, but mind you, to be fair, it was as he rippled down to shake the applause, wasn't it?
I do love that Igor Jesus chant about walking on the Trent, because if there's any player where that song is appropriate for, it's somebody called Jesus, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 3 wise men behind him.
Yeah. Right, any final thoughts on Wolves before we get to Mollo's moment?
No, just park it.
Yeah.
We went there, took the points, came home, job done.
Right,
Great
over to you.
burger stand outside the game. That's my closing thoughts. We were so late. I was absolutely starving. Great burger, man. Last burger, last portion of chips, and he wasn't even a Wolves fan. So there you go. There's my final thought.
You just want to rub it in Mollo's face, didn't you? Well, not literally rub it in his face, but because he didn't get a pie.
No, I did. I had a multi pie, I can't lie. I was worried I might not, but I did.
Okay.
And I needed it to warm up.
Was that your Mollo's moment then, eating
close.
a pie?
It was that poor a game.
Yeah.
It was very close. When Jesus' goal flew in, it's got to be, hasn't it? Because not just the moment of that game, it's been coming, it's been deserved. If you said earlier about it's one of his strengths. what are his weaknesses? He's got every part of the game, hasn't he? He holds the ball up, he can run with it, he can beat players, he can head it, his touch can be absolutely sublime, he brings players in. Here's the thing though, he's a centre forward, isn't he? What's his job?
Scoring goals.
Yeah, and that's now, that monkey's off his back. Hopefully that's the start of his run, because we can compare him to Wood, because obviously we'd love to have them both available. Wood is a natural goal scorer, isn't he? There's no other way to say it. To score the goals he scored, not just for us, but in his career for weaker sides as well sometimes. And we don't know about Jesus yet, do we, if he is? But, because he's had a few chances along the way, but now he's got that first one. Let's hope that's the start, because he's a fabulous player, isn't he, to watch? He's like, if you've got a coaching manual of an all-round centre forward, just it's him, isn't it? Yeah. With the goals, hopefully. So that was the moment by a mile.
Yeah. So let's move on to Everton in a sec. But just to finish off Wolves' game, that leaves Forest in 16th on 15 points, 1 ahead of Leeds, who surprisingly beat Chelsea, 2 behind Fulham, who had a barnstormer of a game at home to Man City. So if that's a repeat of when we go in later in the month, that's going to be a terrific game to watch. A bit nerve-wracking, but we'll see. But it does show you that there are possibilities of going to Fulham and winning, but they could easily beat you as well, can't they? So
good side.
And West Ham, at the time of recording, West Ham play later against Manchester United, so I know we've all got a keen eye on that for various reasons other than Premier League. FPL springs to mind, so we're all got our fingers crossed United can beat West Ham on that one, which leads us nicely then to Everton this weekend. Kate, you've finally managed to get a ticket, so it'll be your first visit to the Hill Dickinson Stadium, of course, as with everybody else. Are you looking forward to it?
Really looking forward to it. I'm so buzzing to have got that ticket, honestly. I was on the train on my way back, just going through Derby, interestingly.
Yeah.
I know, well, sorry. And honestly, I was literally like bouncing up and down in my train seat when I got it. And I think people must have thought, oh my God, what's she on a Forest website going through Derby, bouncing up and down on her seat, you know? But yeah, really excited to go and see. This is where the different ways to win thing comes into play, because we need that in the Premier League. And if we can grind out a 1-0 win away to Everton, then we're going to be shouting from the rooftops how great we are. It doesn't feel like it's going to be no game's an easy game. It doesn't feel like it's guaranteed, does it? But interestingly, I heard that form-wise, we're about like for like at the moment. So it also is, it is possible. You know, please can Murillo be back?
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Wide open, touchdown.
This week, the Dallas Cowboys and Detroit Lions face off in a high-octane clash.
Look at this, it's on the money.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party. TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Cowboys and Lions, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Experience a membership that backs your business journey with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy a welcome offer of 200,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know, we've spoken about Jesus getting off the mark, so let's get him well into, you know, heading for double figures, please, as quickly as possible. And what a great experience. New stadium. How often do we get to go to new stadiums?
You mentioned their form is like for like. They've won 3 of their last 4. They've only lost 1 of their last 5, and that was at home to Newcastle, where they got tonked 3-0, I believe. So, was it 4? Wasn't it? Was a heavy defeat either way, wasn't it?
They were absolutely dire, and he's not the sort of manager to let them repeat that anytime soon. No. That's my concern.
No, I think it's going to be a really, really hard game. But Mollo, you must be getting close to the 92 if this is a brand new one for you.
Yeah, do you know, I haven't counted for years, because the Carlisles and the Doncasters and the O-Word Oldham and obviously Colchesters, they seem so distant. It's like another lifetime ago now, and it's all Wembley and New Everton Stadium and Anfield and all this sort of thing. And we're getting snobby about it, aren't we? I'm like, Kate said, I'm looking forward to going to a new stadium. I'm like, I don't like new stadiums. They've got no soul and no character. But yeah, I'll try and count them up. I don't know. It's probably I'm guessing about 60. If you count just watching Forest, that is, because I've been to a few games over the years, watching another, other games when I've been lived somewhere or had friends took me to a game or whatever. So yeah, a few games. I'm sure there's plenty of 92. One of my friends, him and his son are 92 club members, and his son was set a world record of being the youngest person ever to get there. That as in to get to the 92 club as was. But I do wonder, do they have to go to like a Forest Green game or whatever when they get promoted, whoever goes up? If a new team gets promoted, is that what they have to do?
They do. Ginger's done it. Our mate Ginger's done it. I think he had the 92 in his pocket and had to go and visit a new ground. I can't remember which one it was, but he's still got it.
A few, hasn't there? The likes of Harrogate and whatnot.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what the atmosphere is like in a new stadium as well, whether they've designed the stadium to keep the atmosphere in and whether it's loud and the acoustics are good. So I look forward to hearing about that next week. But of course,
not working at Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah, true. It does bring back the return of Sean Dyche, doesn't it, though, Chelsea, to Everton, of course. And do you think it's going to motivate them a little bit more in order to try and get a result? Or do you think it's, for Sean Dyche, it's just business as usual and it's just another game?
I think for Dyche it'll be business as usual, just another game. But I think deep down, I don't think he'll make it known. But I think that'll be huge motivation for him and for the players as well. I just want to quickly briefly touch on what Kate said about like for like and how Everton's form are. Their form in their last 5 games with winning 3, drawing 1, losing 1 is exactly the same as ours. So you say like for like, it is literally like for like. I don't know why I feel really nervous about the Everton game though. I think it's because I can't remember how many podcasts ago it was, and we were saying like who is the real Forest. I think that was just after Ange left. Well, got sacked, sorry. And I still don't know who we are at the moment. There is still that bit of inconsistency there, which I don't like. And I really think that us going to Everton, who is a like-for-like club, I think that is where we will start to know who we are in this season at the moment. That's what I think.
Like Kate said, different ways to win. You don't know what Forest you're going to get, but as long as it's one of the winning versions, who cares?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It doesn't really matter what Forest you see on the pitch as long as they get the results. And it's the sign of a good team that can win in different ways, isn't it?
Yes, very true, yeah. Oh, we'll see.
What sort of reaction do you think Sean Dyche will get, Kate? Do you think the Everton fans will appreciate the work he did, or do you think there'll be a bit of pantomime booing going on?
I suspect the latter. Don't anticipate that he's going to get a great welcome. I think they'd had enough of him by the time that he left from memory, and I think they will be wanting to beat him and us. So we will be shouting out the Sean Dyche and wearing Stevie Stone in support of our gaffer, I suspect. But I don't know. He was very respectful about them, as you would expect in his press conference, but also making the point that he is only interested in Nottingham Forest and the results that he gets as Nottingham Forest manager. And I absolutely believe that. So they can boo him if they want, but he's our gaffer and we'll be singing his name.
Right, let's do some quick predictions then. We'll start with you, Mollo, very quickly. How do you think the game will go, and a scoreline, please?
1-1.
Oh.
Okay, Kate?
Yeah, actually. 1-1. I think that's a good shout.
That's funny. I was going to go for 1-1 as well.
Me too.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we all have to put draws down in our podcast prediction league. game then, don't we? So I'd certainly have put a draw for this week, I think. And if it is a draw, I think it will be a good draw as well. It's a game where coming away with a point will be regarded as a good result, I think.
Yeah. Very much so.
Okay. Right, any final thoughts? We'll start with you, Chelsea.
No, just I want to say looking forward to the weekend, but I am slightly nervous. I just hope good performance all the way and a point on the board would be amazing.
Okay, anything from you, Kate?
Like to see Callum Hudson-Odoi get a start. I think that would be a really positive move in our team sheet. I've said it already, would really like to see Murillo back, because what a difference he does make. And I'm not taking anything away from Morato's performance, because I do think he made up for Brighton and showed that he can be solid, but we are just less without him, and so I hope he's back. And yeah, I'd like to see Hudson start.
I mean, if he does start, we should have him on one side and Murray Hutchinson on the other. That's got all the recipes for a kind of a counter-attacking type game, hasn't it? And if I was the Everton defence, I'd be worried about facing those two.
Yeah. If I was the Everton midfield and full-backs, I would be feeling like I can get the wrong side of us as well. Because one thing, I agree that I'd love to see them play together, but my my little nerve-wracking bit tactically is, as much as Undoy didn't have his best game last night, there was a couple of occasions, because he's so fast, but he never shows it with the ball, that where Nico, I think he actually got fouled, semi-fouled, and he was way up the pitch, and they put it down his channel, and Undoy flew down that left wing to defend and cover. And I'm not saying the others can't do that, but it's less natural to them, because he's very much a workhorse, isn't he? He's a real workhorse. And away from home, it just depends how good he thinks Everton currently are, doesn't it? It's a tricky one, because last night I would have loved to have seen them start together. But Everton away, I'm a bit nervous, and you start to think Undoy for his work rate, or even Dominguez or whatever. So it's worrying. But what can you do? Just last thing I wanted to say, on Morato, he got an awful lot of stick, and as always in this day and age, some of it was way beyond. And yes, the second goal killed us, but he wasn't at fault directly for the first goal. And it's like, we would have still potentially lost 1-0, because it didn't look like we were going to score all day, did we, the way it was going. So he got that stick. Then to come back the way he did, I'm chuffed for him. I'm not suggesting in a million years, like you've said, Kate, you've nailed it. Any team is better with Murillo in it at the end of the day, aren't they? Not just us. And we need Murillo back as soon as possible, because he's a probably, arguably, our most talented player, certainly with the position he plays. But yeah, I'm hoping we can come back with something on Saturday, because it's a massive, massive game, isn't it? So we shall see.
Right, that's the end of the show this week. We'll be back with you on Monday reviewing this game against Everton, and look forward to our next European game in Holland. So thanks for listening, and bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.